I have added every single weapon in 99 Nights in the Forest to a tier list, and I'm going to be ranking them to decide what the best weapons are in the entire game. I'm going to be ranking these on 3 main things: damage, how easy it is to obtain, and we'll get into the third one a little later on. Our first weapon is going to be the revolver, which can be obtained from the ranger class, good chests and iron chests, and even the pelt trader over here. So obtainment is pretty easy. You can get your hands on this weapon very early game. However, damage is where it kind of falls short. It only 2 shots a bunny, and against a little bit of a tougher mob like a wolf, 3 shots it. Even against a wolf, it also 2 shots. Actually, never mind, it 3 shots, so it's not the best damage. However, you can easily obtain this super early game. So this is going to be going straight into B tier. Number 2, we have the snowball. The snowball can be obtained in ice chests. Previously, the snowball has been able to get obtained in the snow biome, but recently they actually removed that biome for the volcanic biome right here. So you can no longer obtain the snowballs, but they honestly used to do some decent damage and you can spam them a lot. I really like this item, but sadly you can't obtain it anymore, so it's gonna go straight into D tier. However, if it was still in the game, I would put it at low C tier. Next up, we have the spear. This item right here. This can be obtained from the pelt trader or a good chest, which is this one right here. The spear is super good early game because you can immediately obtain it upon your first chest. And as you can see, it deals with cultists pretty easily if you just kind of strafe around them. This weapon is really solid, so I'm gonna have to put it in A tier, a strong A tier. Next up, we have the ice shuriken, which is pretty similar to the snowball because you can sadly no longer obtain this item, but when it was in the game, it was honestly just a better version of the snowball. It just did slightly more damage. So this is gonna go in D tier, just a little bit above the snowball. Next up, we have the crossbow. This is a newly added weapon in the volcanic update, and the main way you can get these items is from this chest right here, the blue spiky one. And then when you do have it, you'll notice it actually has infinite ammo, so that is already really OP. However, this weapon, it doesn't do the most amount of damage. I'll show you right here on this cultist. It did not even like do that much damage at all. Like, I think it would take like 4 shots to kill him. Let's see, so 2, 3, and 4. Okay, yeah, so 4 shots to kill a cultist, which is pretty weak, but it does have infinite ammo, so that's what makes this weapon really good. If you can get your hands on this weapon really early game, it's pretty good, but late game, not so much. So I'm gonna have to put it at a solid B tier, just under the revolver. Next up, we have the fire sword, which is also obtained from the volcanic biome. So the only way to obtain this item is actually through these chests right here. Basically, you'll either get an infernal sack or a lava sword, and we get the infernal sword, but honestly, I just call it the lava sword because that sounds kind of cooler. With this weapon, it's super good because actually when you kill enemies that drop food, it automatically cooks them. So this is basically oven and it does massive damage. This basically 2 shots every enemy I know of. So wolves, 2 shot. Alpha wolves, I'm pretty sure it's a 2 shot if you let them burn. Okay, maybe not a 2 shot, but it does crazy damage. And you can even get this pretty early game. So boom, this does that much to an alpha wolf, and a spear does a little bit less, but it also doesn't cook your food automatically. And this you can get it pretty early game. You can really just get this at any point. I would recommend getting this every single run that this remains in the game. So yeah, definitely get this weapon. It cooks your food and it does crazy damage. So I think this is going to be the first S tier. Also, the third category I mentioned earlier in this video is actually aura. So if you have this sword, you honestly just have a lot of aura because, bro, who would not look cool holding a freaking fire sword, bro? Like, if you get this in your group, you're actually him. And like, bro, you're the leader of the group if you get this sword, basically. So yeah, it's an automatic S tier for me. Next up on the tier list, we have kunai, which look like this, and you straight up chuck them as much as you want. You can straight up spam these so much and they do so much damage. The only thing that sucks about the kunai is that it can only be obtained from the assassin class, costs a lot of diamonds, and ruby chests, which is the rarest chest in the game. So these are not easy to get. However, if you do unlock the assassin class, this is actually the best class to speedrun in the entire game because you can just straight up rush a kid like first day and just save them from the wolves, alpha wolves, and even bears super easily. Like, I've literally been in this game for like 15 seconds and I already have the first kid. So this is going to be another I think I'm just gonna put it low S tier. It's really good. It's not as good as the infernal sword, but that's just because it doesn't have as much aura, and like once you kind of run out of this, it's kind of tough, you know. The inferno sword, you never run out of that thing. So yeah, I'd say bottom of S tier is pretty fair for kunai. Next up, we have this thing. I don't really know what it's called, but it's the weapon that the cultists have, and I'm not gonna lie, I've only gotten this thing like once in my entire time of ever playing 99 Nights in the Forest, and trust me guys, I have played a lot of 99 Nights in the Forest. As you can see, I have over 1,000 wins and I've only gotten this thing twice. But yeah, when I do get it, it does do a lot of damage. I think it does the most melee weapon damage in the entire game. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it does crazy damage. The only downside is you're basically gonna never get the thing. It also swings kind of slow. So I'm gonna put this low B tier because you're basically never gonna get it. But if you do, I'd say it's a lot better than the spear and maybe the Inferno sword, but I don't know. Next up, we have the ray gun, which you can obtain in two ways. The first way to obtain it is by, of course, going the alien class, which costs 100 diamonds. The second way is to actually obtain it from UFOs, which have a chance to spawn in any game that you play from nights 3 to 4. So if it doesn't spawn, you're basically not going to get the gun unless you have the class, of course, like me. This gun is really good because it basically has infinite ammo and it recharges. I think this is a lot better than the crossbow, which also has infinite ammo, just because you can spam it. And I like spamming stuff. Like crossbow, you kind of got to have good aim for that. This, you can just click wherever and you're bound to hit people. However, the damage is pretty low, but I don't even think it matters, bro. This gun is already like too OP as it is. However, I don't think it deserves a spot of S tier just because it's kind of hard to get. A lot like kunai, but I'd say kunai is a bit better. So I'm going to put this pretty high A tier, a little bit below the spear, just because the spear is really easy to get. So yeah, we're going to put it in A tier. Next up, we have the ice sword. And I'm pretty sure this is no surprise, but you cannot obtain this item in the game anymore. So we're going to go ahead and put it in the top of D tier, just because it does do pretty good damage. And personally, I like melee weapons a lot more than range. So they're going to be going above these. Next up, we have the katana, which looks really cool. Katanas are actually insanely cool. However, you can only obtain it one way, which is the assassin class, which is pretty expensive. I'm pretty sure it's one of the most expensive classes in the game. So I'm not going to lie, it's pretty hard to get. And this thing really isn't that good. I'd say the assassin class is mostly good because of the kunai. And this, it's honestly just a spear. Like I hear people say it makes you a little bit faster or like run faster, but I don't think it does. Like the katana, it's pretty good. You basically spawn with a cooler looking spear, but it's nothing special. However, it does have aura points because katanas are just like one of the coolest weapons like in the world, bro. Like who would not want a katana? However, even though it has aura points, it's going to be going in the bottom of B tier. Next up, we have the poison spear. This weapon, sadly, I don't have any footage of it, but it is a crazy good weapon. It's exactly like the spear, except it does a little bit more damage and it poisons your enemies. However, it is of course sadly removed from the game, so you can no longer obtain this weapon. So I'm going to put it at the top of D tier because I do think it's better than all of these frozen weapons. And yeah, I'm also just going to make a straight up new row that just says unobtainable. All right, there we go. Because honestly, these aren't even D tier weapons. You just can't get them no more. But yeah, if you could obtain this weapon, I would put it in B tier, but you can't. So it's going in unobtainable. Next up, we have the trident. And the trident weapon is actually really cool because it's one of the only weapons you can get from fishing. I'm pretty sure you're all pretty familiar with fishing, but how you get this weapon is of course going to your blue house right here, grab an old fishing rod, fish a bunch on the outer lakes, and as you fish, your fishing rod gets leveled up slightly as you saw there. And basically you can upgrade your fishing rod into a strong rod and then go to the very edge of the map once you fully upgrade your campfire and get this weapon potentially. However, that's quite the long grind and I don't think it's worth it. So this is going to be our first C tier weapon. It's pretty cool though. I like that it's in the game. However, you really got to go out of your way to obtain it. Next up, we have the flamethrower, which can only be obtained from the pyromaniac class, which is of course a gold class, which means you got to pay Robux if you're going to want to be able to afford this class, because this class costs basically like all your diamonds. It costs like 700 diamonds. However, it does give you the flamethrower, which is a very, very good weapon. It's just hard to get if you're free to play, and you can only get it from going this class, I believe. It does do pretty good damage. It automatically cooks your food. However, there is fuel. It slowly recharges, and yeah, I'd say it's a really good weapon. However, it's just hard to get, you know? I want to rank it in S tier just because it's actually really OP, but not a lot of people have the pyromaniac class, so it's gonna go low B tier. However, if you do already have this class, it's definitely worth it, and I do really like this weapon. Next up, we have the laser sword. This sword works really similar to the ray gun. However, it's you can't actually get it in any class, so it's pretty hard to obtain, and you can only get it if some UFOs spawn in your 99 Nights world. However, if you do end up getting it, it's a pretty solid sword, but I don't think it's anything too crazy. So I'm gonna put it in low B tier just because it's kind of hard to obtain. However, you can get it just based off of luck, so at least it doesn't cost money to get this weapon. However, it's still going in B tier. Next up, we have the rifle. This can be obtained from iron chests or above, the pelt trader level 3 trade, or you can get it with the hunter class. You can also find it laying around around the map on the outskirts of the map, but it is a little bit rare. Damage wise though, this gun is insane. Anyways, with this gun, you can actually one-shot wolves and cultists in the head. It does some crazy damage. However, it's a little bit hard to obtain sometimes in your games. You honestly just gotta be lucky because you get it from chests. So sometimes you could just end up getting this like 50 days in, and sometimes you can get it day one, but I'm dead. We're gonna put this in a solid B tier, a little bit above the revolver. Or actually, it really is like the best and safest weapon to go like the whole game. So I'm actually going to put it mid A tier. It's a really solid weapon and probably one of the best weapons in the game if you can get your hands on it each run. It's not the rarest, so you probably won't have too much trouble, but sometimes it can be a little annoying to obtain. Next up, we have the tactical shotgun. This weapon is probably one of the hardest weapons to obtain because you can only get it from a ruby chest. However, it does basically one-shot everything besides bears. An easy way to get this weapon if you really want to go for it is do the dungeon raids, which also give you 5 diamonds. The only thing that really sucks about this weapon is you just kind of run out of ammo, and then you basically just have one of the best weapons in the game with no ammo because it uses up that ammo very, very fast. However, it kind of has some drip points because it is a ruby chest item, and not everyone be getting those every game, so it's pretty rare and just aura if you have it. So I'm gonna put it in high A tier, at least above the crossbow. It's got to go above the crossbow. Next up, we have the cyborg laser gun. So this can of course only be obtained by getting the cyborg class, which is actually the best class in the game. If you're gonna get a 5-star class, I definitely recommend getting this one right here because you spawn with alien armor, which is even better than iron armor, and the laser cannon, which is probably the best weapon in the entire game. Also, with this chest plate on, you straight up glow. Like, this looks so cool, dude. So it definitely has aura points there, even though the chest plate isn't even part of the weapon. However, it's basically a 2-in-1 because it's the only way you can obtain this weapon right here. But yeah, basically the reason this weapon is so good is because you don't have to aim on your opponents and it can hit multiple opponents at once. Allow me to demonstrate. So say you want to save some kids and there's a big crowd usually protecting them. As you can see, you want to get your laser cannon and straight up just shoot them. Boom. And as you can see, one shot and they're like already almost dead. All of them. And then there they go. Like, this weapon is easily the best weapon in the game. Oh, I can't even save the kid. Okay, bro. Really? Really 99 nights? Okay. But as I was saying, this is easily the best weapon in the entire game. And if you have cyborg class, people know you're a tryhard and you low-key just don't go outside if you have this class, because the class does cost about 700 diamonds and even Robux if you really want to make it a really good class, and even more diamonds if you want to get a good talent. So this is not for people with no Robux, so it's not the easiest to obtain, but it's so worth it once you do get it. If you do save up your diamonds long enough, it's super good. So bro, it's gotta go in S tier. It honestly might even go above the flame sword just because, bro, you can destroy crowds of enemies super late game and even save the kids in record-breaking speed. And now lastly, we have the fire flask, and let me just make something for it. This thing is the worst thing in the game. It does 0 damage. It lights your enemies on fire and does half a damage every 8 seconds. Like, it is the worst thing in the game. This is not even a weapon, so it's gonna go down here. Anyways, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to click another video on screen because it's a banger, I promise.